This stuff here, Yerushalmi Eruvin, the article Osbar edition. We're on Daf Samar Gimel Amud Aleph, Halacha Hey, which is right at the top of the Amud, and in the Vilna we're on Nun Ches Amud Aleph, Halacha Hey, which is towards the bottom of the Amud, but very easy to find. And Abona Aliyah Gabi Shnei Batim, you have a Aliyah on top of two houses. Second part of two houses, article picture. That's the top picture. And the bottom picture is next case. Chen Shem Fulashim, so too if you have a bridge which goes through and through, so it's only two walls. Rabbi can carry on the Shabbos. You also say pitikra even with two walls which are not adjacent to each other. Right? They're opposite each other, not adjacent, opposite. You still say pitikra. Chaymaser, you don't say pitikra. We have two walls which are opposite each other and not adjacent to each other. The other might be the same Arvim Mavi and Fulish. You can make an air by Mavi and Fulish. A Mavi which goes through, not which is a Rabbim, but it's just a Mavi which goes straight through from side to side, and his is just a Rabbim on either side. They say no, depending on the scenario, you might need a Delis, so it's a Pesach, but you can't just make a Lechi or Korah. That's not sufficient. Now, the Gemara says, Rav Huna Amar, Ein Rishus Harabim Mekubah. This is even calling Rabbanan. There's no such thing as a Rishus Harabim, which is Mekura if you have a ceiling, a roof, underneath not Rishus Harabim. So it says Gemara, Shim Bekarsa said, I don't understand. Aren't you looking for the midbar? And the midbar, Mekura Haya. In the midbar, there was a ceiling. What's the ceiling in the midbar? Very different shot in carbon 8 and Pnei Moshe. Carbon 8 says, midbar Mekura, so Ananiya Kavod Makifin also. You're covered by the Ananiya Kavod. And Shamin, I feel just right Mekura Chayiv. So it's even just right Mekura. Pnei Moshe says, midbar Mekura, Yaklom Masher Mutin La Gola Shal Krashim Shu Mekuros. The wagons which carried the beams were covered wagons. Tachteim and Amos Emishus Rabim have underneath them, between them and on the sides, Emishus Rabim. So Emishus Mekura have Emishus Rabim. So you see, Emishus Mekura is Emishus Rabim. So either because none are covered, or because of the tops of the wagons were considered to be we see underneath a ceiling is Emishus Rabim. Now it says Gemara. Nevertheless, we have a riot Rav Huna from our Mishnah. Mastis Lomar Kain. Mishnah does not say Rav Shimon Bar Karsna. Mishnah says Rav Huna. It says rather v'chein geshorim mefulashim metali tachteim b'Shabbos. The bridges which go through and through, you can carry on them b'Shabbos. Rabbi Chamim osrin. Chamim forbid. Lomar ela Chamim osrin. They only forbid, which is lashon always the Rabbanan. Chamim osrin who chayav chatas ain't got. There is no chayav chatas. So, you see clearly that even according to Rabbanan, even though now let's carry there, it's only this is Rabbanan, not a issue of Daraisa. Okay, now Maushi Tzarech Mechitza. Now you need a wall. There are many different interpretations here. So let's see what made it. Maushi Tzarech Mechitza. Rabbi Yehuda Porach. The question on Rabbi Yehuda. Do we say time Rabbi Yehuda the pitikra v'soisim? That you say because like I said in the Mishnah, it's pitikra. I feel ein mechitza ksharim mamflashim nami mutorim, and even there aren't walls at all. You still say pitikra. Or maybe no. It's because he holds two mechitzas daraisa. And but without two mechitzas, it wouldn't be matir the situation. So you need to have at least two walls, and pitikra would then be a drabanan in order to be matir. Could I say pitikra on all four sides, or do I say pitikra once I have two walls, one on each side, in order to complete the scenario which permits carrying? So Rava Martzarch Mechitza. Rava says you require a Mechitza. In other words, that the two Mechitzas are essential. That two Mechitzas wouldn't just say pitikra on four sides. And Rabbi Yosef Eitzach Mechitza. No, the pitikra in of itself is sufficient. So the You wouldn't need any mechitzas whatsoever. So both Rabbi and Rabbi agree that Rosh Hashanah Makura is not Rosh Hashanah. The question is whether that in of itself, what you need in order to then be matir carrying underneath. According to Rabbi, the pitikra in of itself would be matir carrying, even on all four sides. It seems that way. According to according to Rabbi Yossi, the pitikra even all four sides would work. According to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rava, it only works to be matir on two sides, but that pitikra works even though two sides are not adjacent to each other, even though the street underneath is mefulish. Amar Chevrai Kum Rabbi Yossi. They sent Rabbi Yossi. Yos Amar Rabbi Ba. Now Rabbi Ba is Rava, same name, and probably on top it should be Rabbi Ba as well. Bet you let's go change the one on top to Rabbi Ba. No, actually, in the text it has Rava. No, it has Rava. So, but it says here Amar Rabbi Ba who Rava. Okay, it says okay, be as it may. So so Rava is correct. You need a mechitza, and we learned Amar Rabbi Lote mechitza gavoya because of shebeneim. The Karmei chains gavoya to gdola, not so essential. But anyway, the point is that when you have two chatzeros and a bor shamayim between the two which they share, you need a mechitza in order to distinguish between the two sides. And evidently, the fact that you need a mechitza, and you don't just say put a board there and say pitikra. So why don't you say if you didn't need mechitza, just put a board there and say pitikra. So which in fact is discussed back there in the sugya whether that works or doesn't work. But in any event, so that seems they need a mechitza. So Amar he said tamon, which means like Yerushalmi very often means here. That at least that's I think it means. Korbanei doesn't see it learn that way. Well, no, the article learns. Let's see. Yeah, the article learns like I learned that it's tamon means here. Tamon sheisham tikra. It's actually a roof. It's a ceiling. Ain't tzarich mechitza. There is no. It's not a mechitza. You don't need a mechitza. But over there by the bor she'ain sham tikra, where there is no tikra, tzarich mechitza. Since there's no ceiling, you require mechitza instead. Now, like it does mention there, like the possibility of setting up a korah which is wide enough to be a to tikra that should be effective. But without that, you're talking need a mechitza. But it could be no right for Rabbi Ba. It could be where it's not. And the mechitza, where you said there to put a mechitza, could be much narrower. It could be a mashu. Then the tikra. Tikra has to be at least 4 tvachim wide in order to be a tikra. Perhaps 4 amos, but so no less than 4 tvachim. So now the one brings down a third opinion. We had Rabbi Ba, Rava, and Rabbi Yossi. Now we have Rabbi Yehuda the Amora. Da Amar, and even though it says Da Amar, the Dalet seems to be superfluous here. The Reb Chaim evidently either takes it out or suggests that it's understood as superfluous, and maybe Da Amar Rabbi Yehud, but in any event, so it could be that it's Da Amar. We have a third shita. I don't know exactly, but anyway, the Dalet is. It's easier to take it out. That which Rabbi Yehuda said about in our Mishnah, that you don't that according to Rabbi, I started saying it wrong. Let me say it the right way. That which Rabbi Yehuda holds you need mechitzas in our Mishnah is where it's a Mefulush Rabbim, which is the second clause in Rabbi Yehuda, in Rav Yehuda. So that Amar Mefulush in the Bika, that which the Tikra would work on all sides. According to Rabbi Yehuda, would be if it's the you have the Tikra in the middle of a Bika, the Carmelis, Rosh Rabbim. Avim Mefulush Rabbim, where the road which goes through the bridge, or through under the aliyah, or under the tikra, has Rishus Rabim as a Rishus Rabim, or it's a Mefulush to Rishus Rabim. Same principle. It's like a movie which is a Rishus Rabim. Also, you need 2 mechitzas. In other words, there we say the Ase Rabbi Ba'alim Mechitzah of the Pitikra, and therefore you wouldn't be, for Pitikra on 4 sides would not work. In that case, you need to have at least 2 mechitzos, and then you could say Pitikra to seal it on the other 2 sides. Okay, of course, again, it's only Rabbi Yehuda, not Rabbanan, but that's what he's saying here. But if you have the 2 mechitzas, then according to Mutter, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that would work. So his pshara is Rav had said you always need 2 mechitzas. Rabbi Yitzchak say you don't ever need 2 mechitzas. Pitikra always suffices. Rav Yehuda is saying that if the Mavi's Mefurish Shusarabim or the bridge is going over Shusarabim, they need 2 mechitzas. And they say, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Pitikra on the other 2 sides. But if it was going through a bika, through a karmelis, the tikra in and of itself would suffice to make Pitikra even on all 4 sides. Hadjalach Kol Gago Soyer. New Perek. Perek Motzi Tefillin. Halach Aleph. Motzi Tefillin. If you find tefillin in a field, a place where they're clearly lost, Machnis and Zug Zug, you bring in a set, and you wear them. 1 on the head and 1 on the arm. Right? This is till you finish bringing them all filling in. Shnaim. He says 2 by 2. Questions what they're doing zug and shnaim. But medvar when it should be shown us with old tefillin, meaning that as the Karmenes says, it has a kesher which is properly made, so you can see clearly that it's being used as tefillin and they have kedusha. You can't leave them there; it would be zoyon. Avav chadashas, but if it's new, they're new. As Kormenes says, chadashas patur, you're exempt. Milachnisan the dilma kamein, maybe it's just a kameh. There's an amulet here. It's not really a tefillin. It has inside some sort of incantations or some sort of herb or whatever, but it's not really tefillin. The vein by kedusha, no kedusha unless they make halacha for l'shein tefillin. Mitzvah tzvasim or krichos. So you find them in tied together, so you can't really put them on. Or krichos, they found a big pile of them. Maksha then you stay there till night falls, and then bring them in. If it's sakona, if it's time sakona, it's Karmenes says she goes to shlo niach tefillin. Mechas v'oichlo. Cover them, go away. But that means sakona is shmad. It's when the sakona of shmad that they find him wearing tefillin, you'll be in trouble. And there's sakona listim. There's the sakona of bandits. Milcham pachas mi'arba amos. You could take them less than 4 amos and bring them in. Okay, complain Moshe, but it's more, but that'll do for us for now. Okay, says the Gemara. Hamotzi tefillin machnisin zug derech malbush. You put them on the way you normally would wear them. Achas barosh, achas bezura. 1 on your head and 1 on your arm. Ran Gamliel mer shnaim. Shnaim barosh, shnaim bezroa. He says you can put 2 and on your arm and 2 on your head. So the Korban explains derech mabush der shlosh will call echad v'lo shnayim. You should not put on 2. Shum bal toisif, because that's bal toisif. Put on 2 tefillin. The Gamliel says shnayim barosh shnayim. So Shabbos lavs min is not tefillin. The Shabbos not man tefillin. There's no mitzvah tefillin on Shabbos. There's no Baal Tosef then. How time is Shal Rabbanim Batzola? So why Rabbanim allow you to bring him in? Mishum Takshitu, because it's an adornment, like any other takshi you're allowed to wear. Hikach Machnisa and Afilu Shnaim, but they can do even 2 by 2. The Mokim Yesh Barosh Yisrael, there's place in the head and the arm. On the Shnei Tefillin, put on 2 tefillin. You see that some Eidotam Mizrach have that custom. They put on Rashi Rabbeinu Tam at the same time. And because there's Mokum Barosh, and but yeah, the 2 tefillin. So the Kokam Takshi, as long as it's considered to be adornment, and it's adornment because that's there to put on tefillin, and you put up to 2 tefillin, so therefore it's permitted. And now the Gemara elaborates this issue. Rabbi Lezer said, "Hanosi tefillin b'layla over basei." Someone puts a tefillin night violates the mitzvah say. Shneimar l'shemanis l'chul kol asos miyamim yamima. You should preserve this law from day to day, from day. And we dash in the pasuk yomim v'lo leilos, days and not nights. And here the Reb Chaim and the Yerushalmi Eruvin put in also. It's important for the continuity. So yamima, right? So probably Shabbos Yom Tovim. So the yomim v'lo leilos. That's how we dash it with yomim, days and not nights. Yamima, certain days, not other days. Right? Prat l'Shabbos Yom Tovim as opposed to Shabbos Yom Tov. Ask Gemara, what do you mean? Rava himself. Yossi was sitting in Masnei Baram and teaching at night with tefillin loy. He put his tefillin on him. So mitzadnin havu. The answer that he put him sideways at night, so they went to the proper place. Mitzadnin havu. They were sideways. Kamin the Reb Chaim and others changed the gears here to from pikrin, which sounds like it was hefker, right? Like it was dissolute. It was in the right place. But they changed to pikadam for safeguarding. In other words, he kept it in his head, and not in the right location. It wouldn't be the mitzvah, but in order for safeguarding. Pikadam no yubiodo, right? So it's going to be the pikrin, it was like hefker, and they weren't in the proper place, or they were pikadam, they were for safeguarding. But they didn't wear them right at night in the proper location because there's no mitzvah night. Eastboy Meimar, there are those who say, however, lo marla nichon, that only to put them out chatchila at night is also. I mean, love me, but if you already had them on from before during the daytime, mutter, you're allowed to leave them on. And therefore, you didn't actually have to be inside them either. You're allowed to leave them on. It's only to put them on chatchila as a problem, but not to leave them on once there. And East the boy Lemaiman, there are those who say, amazing svara, that mitzvah said tichla rego min hashuk. The mitzvah when tefillin is even after shkia, until half an hour after shkia. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody darshan this connection that between Ner Chanukah and tefillin. That Ner just like tefillin is tichla rego min hashuk. So the Ner Chanukah is tichla rego shuk. We don't know that by Ner Chanukah, but I don't know how many people know about this Yerushalmi. It also applies to tefillin. It says here, Menachas Daf Lam Vav Amud Aleph, though. Is it Taka Menachas? I'm just forgetting. Let's check. Yes, it is. It's there, Menachas. I was just forgetting. It's Rabbi Yaakov there. It just says he's by Memar, but it is there. Okay, it's Menachas Daf Lam Vav Amud Aleph. So it's even more astonishing. They don't hear drushes all the time about the connection between Tefillin and Chanukah, but it probably is connected because V'ro kamei artz kishem Hashem nikra lecha v'yormi meka. So till when is Shasri the Shasri where you can see till Regem Nashuk. I guess people still walking around to see it. Okay, I did not realize I forgot it was also in the Bavli. Should note that the Yerushalmi Eruvin brings a kind of cryptic Ramami Fano. It says Ramami Fano Tzimah Kuf Ches says Ismay Mitzvah Sheticha Regel Shuk Pesh Yossi Masi Bramsha Mashi Rogel Asos Kein Tamid. He would always do this. V'adz man zeh mutar lefatzeh mahora tefelo until that time as a person is allowed to teach in public, not later than that. So it sounds like it's not the mitzvah tefillin is actually tichel regel shuk, but the concept of giving a shir in public is actually tichel regel shuk, which makes sense. Okay, I guess because after that there's nobody to listen to you. That's interesting. That Ramam Yifano, Omer Darsheni requires some sort of explanation. Okay, Ismail Nishmina Minado. So those who wanted to learn Shabbos is not from the following. It says V'yul os, that they should be for you an os. Misha tzrich an os, those things which require an os. That's when you have the mitzvah tefillin. Yotze Shabbos says Yom Tov Mishahein Gufon Os. So the Shabbos Yontif are an os themselves. They don't need tefillin. It's the famous Rambam how Shabbos is an os, which obviously so it says Kosi Beini Ubeinechem. I don't know why. There's a famous Rambam. I forgot what the Rambam says. There's some. Right, Rama Allah Perik Lam Allah Tesvav says Shabbos Ovichol Chavim Mazolos Kol Echos Mishnehem Shabbos and Bezor each of them is school Kol Sham. It's a Torah Shabbos the Osha Ben Kosh Baruch Ben Nenu La'olam. That's why anybody that's why because Shabbos is this oath, so therefore Mechal Shabbos Kilo Eibah Zara. Okay, but I'm not. I wonder if that applies also to Mechal Yontif on this account if it's the oath. Sounds like only put on place of Shabbos, but and we always say Mechal Shabbos, not Mechal Yontif. Wonder why? Maybe Mechal Yontif should have the same status. True, it's not Issachila, so maybe it doesn't. He says Mechal Shabbos first here. Must be even though Yontif is a nos, but it's not the same level of os as Shabbos. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I never thought about it before. If they're both os, so they should have the same status, but they don't. Okay, so anyway, sorry about that digression. Veloka, so ask more of Lok Kvar Ksib Yomi Amima. Don't already have a Josh for this Yomi Amima. So why need another name from Os, right? So the one says this a very famous idea in the Yerushalmi. Anything which is not clear, meaning there's not a definite source in Torah. It doesn't say explicitly in Torah. And then Yomi Yamima is not an explicit drasha. So therefore, we bring multiple supports for it. Minasrin Sagin from many different places. And the Yerushalmi Kivshul brings down a very important mukayes and beginning Perek HaChoiva and Baba Kama. It says, Gemara Maise Rabbi Asi Momon Midichsiv Tachas Tachas. Tachas is moments it says Tachas, Zer Shava. Yesh Minat Tema. There's the name of the mukayes says astonishing. The Kulu Tanoi Lo Yafim Mina Aukro. Nobody learns that, none of Tanoim learn from that pasuk. Along comes Rabbi Yasi, learns that from that pasuk. If Dunk Zer Shava, Elen Kain Kibla. Person can't be Dunk Zer Shava unless they come Rabbi. How come Rabbi Yasi come along and make a Zer Shava? Yerushalmi Emu Komis Lo Mechavra Maisin Lo Masrin Sagin. Pershim Farshim the Hacha Berusho. And Farshim saying, what does that mean? Perish Kodav Yodim Bo Shu Emes. Anything we know it's true. Avo Lo Nitzbar Lo Smach Min HaKos. You don't have explicit evidence in the pasuk. Harshus Biyat Kol Adam Laduna Lavia. Everybody has permission to learn it out and derive it. Avish Enadam Dung Zer Shav and can kill Mirabo. Even though the president can't normally make Zer Shav unless he received from his Rebbe. Hailadun Gamre Michodesh. That's to learn something from scratch, from new. Come on, Ein Tachas Ein is Ein Tachas Ein or Shor Tachas Shor. I guess to make the Zer Shava of Ein Tachas Ein Shor Tachas Shor from scratch, without having a prior Masorah. However, the Gamir, I'm not sure. I might have a few words missing here, because here the Gamir, the Ikar Zer Shava, the Tachas Yachal Shuv. I think what should say here, I must be missing a few words, that anything where there's a Doraisa, then you can learn make Xer Shava. Okay, and he brings down from the Ra'ah. But it's according to what he's saying, it sounds like the Drush is not Mechuvar, but the Detzim Din was Mechuvar. That was anytime you know the halacha, but you don't know the source, so you bring multiple sources. Okay, so I'm a Surah, but you don't have the explicit source. But he points out that from the Yerushalmi later on, it's not so partial to say that. For Yerushalmi later on, I'm not going to get to today. It's my last line on the page, so it goes over the next page. We'll see. Okay, so Nashim how do you know that women are exempt from tefillin? You teach your sons and not your daughters, and that's about time of Torah. Chai b'Torah, so that means chai in Torah is chai in tefillin. Nashim she'ena chayavas b'Torah. Women are not chai in Torah. Ain't chayavas b'tefillin. They're not chai in tefillin. the first of all, the Korban 8, I think he must have brought that as Mukha Yosef. He must have known this Mukha Yosef because he says, כל דבר שאין מבורם מפורש אוסנו סמוכים כל מסהרבה. כן, דבר זה שלא נניח תפילין בשבת יום טוב, כל מה שנוכל למצוא לו מקרא, סומכים. So it's very similar to the Mukha Yosef. But anyway, so he said by the reason why we have this linkage between Torah and tefillin is because it says, and therefore, achai b'Torah dorish mikra shelafona be'kesha. Right, we learn the connection between ukshartem and limadetem. Okay, the chayiv in Torah, chayiv tefillin, not chayiv Torah, not chayiv tefillin. So he's even the famous Yerushalmi, one of the more famous Yerushalmis. Michal Bashol is the best tefillin. The Michal, the daughter of Shaul, put on tefillin. And Ishto Yoina, the wife of Yoina, went up on Aliyah Larego. I saw Larego. Velo Michal B'Chachamim. Chachamim didn't protest. So if it's not supposed to put on tefillin, so why did not protest it? Rabbi Chitzur Shebo said, Ishto Yoina. It says here in the Vilna, Hishava, but the Karmei changed gears to Hushva. She was pushed back. They were Moicha. That's also what the article has, Hushva. And Micha Bashol, Michu B'Chachamim, Chachamim did protest. They didn't let her actually put on tefillin. So in the Bible, it talks about that Micha Bashol put on tefillin. Those quote there, it says Micha Bas Kushi and Eruvin, outside of him, a base. And brings on also the story with so Rego there doesn't bring down the unlike Yerushalmi, it doesn't bring down an opinion that Chacham or Moicha. Only the Yerushalmi brings down an opinion that Chacham or Moicha. Okay, so now I have a point. Maybe I want to put out Daited Rabbana in Mechuver. Now Mechuver here, the point with the Mukha Yosef for is the Mukha Yosef is Mechuver that it's the Raisa, but it's not clear where it's from. Here, clearly, Mechuver does not mean that. Here, Mechuver means the Raisa Mamish. And I'm not sure it's such a difficulty in the Mukha Yosef on the Raw, because Mechuver can mean different things, different places. I think it does in the Yerushalmi. Sometimes Mechuver means it's not clear, meaning we know it's the Raisa, but it's not clear where it's from. Sometimes and Mechuver means it's not the Raisa. And that's what it means over here. So they wanted to say that the Rabbana Emuchuver, it's not it's not the Raisa. You mean that there's no is it the Raisa put on tefillin on Shabbos? The Raisa could put on tefillin on Shabbos. There's the chayshish for Baal Taisif. You can only put on one at a time because it is that's how you don't put tefillin the Rabbana. Whereas according to Gamliel, Daita Rabbi Gamliel, it's a Mechuber. It's the Raisa. As Gamliel said, no. There is Shabbos is not fine. Not tefillin is not tefillin me the Raisa. Josh Yamima or Os is the Raisa, and therefore it's not tefillin. There's no din about Taisib, so you can put on two at once. So Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbi Shmuel, you know what? Even Gamliel could also hold that the Raisa Shabbos is not tefillin. What about Baal Taisib? So, Shir Lomar, I'm Malcolm Shkovo Shel Rosh Machzik. Really, there's room to put on two pairs of tefillin. And you can fulfill the mitzvah of two pairs of tefillin. And the second pair is adding, why is that important? Because the second pair is not a masui. It's not considered to be a burden. So, therefore, you can put on two pairs of tefillin and be makan mitzvah with two pairs of tefillin. So, because there's Malcolm Shkovo Shel Rosh Machzik. You can put on the tefillin to the head as far as the top of the head can fit. But kama machzik shtayim, it can fit two. So me'ata fil b'chos. That's the case. Even a weekday you should be able to put on two. There should be no it's about Taisif. You're saying if there's mokum barosh and stays to zukas tefillin, must you hold you can put on two zukas. So we're on the about Taisif. So but weekday you should. So it's more. I'm Rabbi Chagai by me'ev yoav, right? So if you want to put on weekday two pairs of tefillin, you can. There's no Baal Taisib. It's not Baal Taisib. Put on two pairs of tefillin. It's two mitzvahs of tefillin. not Baal Tosif. We know that there's the Lomdus in Baal Tosif. In fact, the Baal Tosif is only where in the Maisa Mitzvah you add on, like you put 5 batim on the tefillin. That's Baal Tosif. Pataka, not to put on 2 pairs of tefillin. The Gemara falls off. So it's not an issue about Tosif. The reason put on 2 pairs not because Shabbos is not Zman tefillin. Shabbos could be Zman tefillin midoraisa. Why you put 2 pairs? Because it's not Baal Tosif. That's not a masui. Because it's not Baal Tosif. Because you're allowed to put on 2 because it's not adding in the mitzvah. You're doing the mitzvah second time. It's not Baal Tosif. And it's not a masui because you can there's room in the head for 2 pairs of tefillin. Okay, that's it for today.